Well, there's three reasons, okay, why the weight can creep up. These are the biggest three reasons. I'm going to let you in on these. And then also I'm going to provide 3 tips on how to handle that. All right, so here we go. The first one is one of the biggest reasons why I see that things start to creep up for people and they start to move in a direction that they don't feel comfortable in is that we have a lack of mindfulness. Lack of mindfulness. What does mindfulness mean? Mindfulness means to be aware and attentive to whatever you're doing in that present space, right? Without judgment. All right, so that's just like a quick little high level definition of mindfulness. We're not mindful when we do things like snacking and grazing, again, without intention. So we're doing it on automated, right? We're doing it on autopilot. 95% of the things that we do in life is on autopilot. Think about it. We get up, we brush our teeth, autopilot. The phone rings, we answer it, autopilot, right? We drive to work, we drive to the grocery store. It's almost like we're on autopilot. That's how it's easy for us to multitask, and we feel so comfortable with multitasking is because of automation and muscle memory. But this can backfire when it comes to food and we are not intentional about eating. Very, very important, because extra grazing and snacking without that intention can quickly pack on the calories. And we do this one too many times. And that's when we start to feel the weight creeping up, our clothes fitting tighter, and again, moving in that direction that we don't want to go. It could be an extra cookie here or there. It could be an extra bite off of your kid's plate or their tray or their leftover lunch that they haven't eaten. You know I know I've been guilty of that as well. Chips and salsa. As you are snacking, cooking dinner because you're so hungry for dinner that you can't wait for the actual meal to happen, right? All of these things start to add up. So what do? The number one tip is I want you to think about position. All right, so inside the Fearless with Foods 6-week online course that we teach on mindful eating, we talk about a 4-step strategy to mindful eating. We also talk about the 3 Ps. One of the 3 Ps is position, and that means actually where is your physical space? Where are you at, right? Force yourself to stop and become aware of your physical space. Where are you actually eating? Chances are it's on the fly. All right, it is standing at the kitchen counter. It's walking around and eating. I'm always yelling at my husband for that. In front of the computer, right? Or working at our desk. As we clean up the kitchen or do the dishes or prepare for dinner, driving in the car, or walking to the beach, walking to our kids' school to pick them up for extracurricular activities, right? On the fly, where's your physical position? Because if we're not actually taking care to sit down in front of nothing, right? Just the table, maybe the people around us, enjoy their company, have good conversation. That is, who we should be, dining with. If we're not dining with ourselves, not dining with the computer or dining with the TV on, right? That creates distractions. So sitting down, giving attention to the digestive system. Your position is actually in the chair at the table, right? And taking some interest into the food that you're eating, right? One of the biggest things that I hear from clients that they come to me and they'll say like, Amanda, but I don't literally have the time. You literally have the time. Let me tell you, you have the time. If you're using time as an excuse, then you need to slow down in your life. And that that's a whole other conversation, right? So we have to make time for food because food provides us the energy that we need in order to go about the activities for the day. So it's a non-negotiable. We have to absolutely do it. At some point, if we keep saying we don't have time, we eat on the fly, it's going to backfire. That's when we start to have problems. That's when we start to have digestive issues, unexplained IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, unexplained bowel pain, right? We all have time. Pam says everybody uses time as an excuse. Absolutely, right? We can no longer do that. So think about your position, all right? That's number one. Number 2 reason why the weight creeps on, we box out foods. We have a tendency as human beings to box out foods. Think about this. When you think of breakfast, how many of you only think about breakfast type foods? Type the word breakfast if you're joining live and you've done this before, right? We've all done it before. You're eating lunch and you only think about lunch type foods, sandwiches, soups, crackers, chips, right? Snacky, those types of foods, like those lunch types of foods, dinner foods. You only think about dinner foods, right? We're boxing that out. That mentally limits us, right? We feel boxed in, like there's nothing to eat. We have no options. Really, the sky's the limit, right? But ultimately, what this leads to, it's very important because boxing out foods leads to analysis paralysis. It leads to that feeling of like, we're so overwhelmed with not being able to identify what it is that we feel like is a good choice for us to enjoy at that breakfast or at that lunch or at that dinner, that we end up doing nothing. And we end up eating the same foods every single day over and over again. What this does, it creates or encourages a gut diabosis. In other words, we don't have good microbiome. The microbiome is another word for the gut environment. So a variety of foods encourages good microbiome. So we know we have a good balance of good bacteria to bad bacteria. All right. So it is actually really important to get variety. So when we box out foods, what do? What can we do to solve that problem? Well, stop labeling foods. Stop labeling foods. Breakfast foods, lunch foods, dinner foods. When I think about foods, and a lot of people actually comment to a lot of my stories. People reply every single day that I post something in stories. I'm always sharing different things that I love to eat, and I'll have something very strange for breakfast, right? I may have leftovers from dinner from the night before for breakfast. I may have a turkey sandwich and soup. I might have meatloaf, with eggs, poached eggs over top. I might have oatmeal with eggs and beans and black beans, right? One of my clients actually got me started on the black bean option, and I love it. But it's literally not boxing out those things. It opens up a whole world for you. So can we remove the labels? When we talk about labels, it's not just labeling food good and bad. It's labeling them in other ways where we feel mentally impacted. So if we can release that, all right, we have got a solution to help us address number 2. Number 3, we start saying everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. How many times have we heard that, right? If you have heard everything in moderation or told yourself this, or grew up hearing this, because this is something we always heard in our house, toss me a little wave, toss me a heart. Let me know if you're listening live, if it's been everything in moderation, right? But listen, we do this in an effort to give ourselves permission to enjoy foods. You don't have to tell yourself a story in order to choose something that you want to enjoy. But when we start saying in moderation, moderation is actually relative. So it can backfire very, very quickly, right? Let me give you an example of this. So think about this. Say like you're going to use the everything in moderation rule. You've got a healthy salad in front of you. Someone delivers donuts to your office. Okay, you were planning to eat the salad for lunch. However, a sales rep comes in with a whole dozen donuts and they're looking pretty good. All right, so donuts almost 100% of the time, right? They're going to be scrumptious, right? We all can have a donut. But if we tell ourselves that, well, everything in moderation, and we choose the donut, even though we're really not hungry for it or we're not really ready to enjoy it at that moment, it's like we are then, that becomes a story that we're telling ourselves, right? We're using it as an excuse, right? We will get mediocre results with our goals at best. So what do? All right, we want to let go of that, moderation rule. We just refrain from saying it and just enjoy and choose foods based on the frequency in which you can balance them into your nutrition plan or during the week, right? You want everything to balance out. Deep down that if you are allowing too many things in your diet without balance, you can feel it. Your energy is depleted. Your pants are fitting tighter. You have more bloating, more water retention. You're not feeling as confident about yourself. You're aware, in the back of your mind that you've made too many choices that you can't feel good about. So what you need to do is pull that in a little bit, right? decrease the frequency without restriction. This is a really, really hard thing. And this is something that I work with coaching clients on one-on-one to help them draw the connection between how we're thinking and feeling and the foods that we're choosing and the frequency and portion that we're choosing them, right? So to guide them in that. Because here's the thing, every single day, every single minute, the body is providing us with information. But sometimes we don't know how to decode that information. So one of the best things that you can do is start learning how to tap into what your body is telling you. And once you learn those skills, you will be able to fish for life. You will absolutely be able to fish for life. I guarantee it. All right. So let go of those labels. Let go of that moderation. Stop the story you're telling yourself. Become aware. Become mindful. Let's recap real quick. Okay, we talked about 3 reasons that the weight starts creeping on and 3 tips. Number 1, lack of mindfulness. What do we do about it? Think about position. Stop eating on the fly. Be very intentional. Sit down, allow, digest, and rest. Number 2, we talk about boxing out foods. What do? Let go of labeling. Remove the labels and tags from foods and see all foods as equal opportunities at all meals and times during the day. Number 3, we start saying everything in moderation. What do? Stop literally telling yourself this, right? We're going to rewrite your story and choose foods that will fit in balance throughout the day to give you maximum energy that you can mentally feel good about. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed today's live. It's so nice being here with you all. I hope that this brought you a deeper level of awareness to your life and forced you to think about food in a slightly different way. All right, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear it. If we can answer any other questions for you, if you want to send me something on a sidebar, send me a DM, or you can email me at alip@nutrientrichlife.org. Also, stay tuned for some new and exciting news coming up really, really soon. We're going to have a super fun announcement for you. So make sure that you're tuning in. If you haven't already, go into your settings inside the group and click all notifications so you don't miss that big news coming up. All right, you guys, have a great day. I will see you soon.